Alright, welcome back to Dark Raven Tactical. So, I absolutely love break action firearms. Shotguns, rifles, it does not matter. Like, I absolutely love them. Especially when it comes to hunting. You know, if I had to pick between a bolt action and a break action, I'm going to choose the break action all day, every day. Like, it does not matter. And don't get me wrong, I don't have an issue with bolt action rifles. Like, I grew up with a bolt action 30-06 that I have killed several deer with. Like, I absolutely love that rifle. But as I got older and started playing around with different guns and everything, I just kind of learned that I prefer break action firearms when it comes to deer hunting. Now, there's a few different reasons behind that. First and foremost is they are relatively lightweight. For the most part, the one I have is not very light, but the rest I have and the couple that I found that I want to get are going to be significantly more lightweight than running the 30-06. And with the fact that when I am hunting, I don't necessarily sit still for very long, so I find myself up exploring, walking through the woods, whatever, and just having that lightweight firearm is definitely a plus when it comes to just exploring and walking around. They're also relatively inexpensive. Like, you can go get a pretty decent break action firearm for a couple $100s, like, and be good to go and be able to put food in your freezer and, you know, whatever. So the cost is another really good thing, because, you know, instead of dropping $800 on the super cool rifle, you know, I can drop a couple $100s and get ammo or whatever. So, and then they're just super simple. I mean, they're not super tactical, they're not, you know, super fancy. Like, they're just simple, straightforward firearms that I would not necessarily be upset getting it scratched, banged up, whatever. Like, they're just super simple, super basic, straightforward. I mean, not much can go wrong with a break action firearm. Like, you know, so that's just kind of where I'm at with preferring break action firearms over like bolt action firearms when it comes to deer hunting. Now, we're talking about this because opening day of gun season is slowly approaching, and I have a bunch of videos that I want to do for opening day or for gun season, and this is going to be one of them. So I have right now 3 different break action firearms that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to give you guys and girls the opportunity to just sit there and throw out your opinion as to what I should run. And then I have 2 more break action firearms that I am looking at purchasing, hopefully before opening day of gun season. And then we'll do a video on them, as long as I can get them in here on time before opening day of gun season. So let's dive into this. Let's talk about the first break action firearm that I would be using for deer hunting. Okay, so option number 1 is going to be this guy right here. This is the Pardner Tracker 2. I might be saying that wrong, I'm not sure. But this is a break action 20 gauge with, got decent front sight, rear sight. It is a rifled barrel. Probably cannot really see that. Very simple, nice shotgun. I really haven't taken this one out in the woods. I think I took it out maybe once last year, but yes, just a very simple, nice break action 20 gauge. Now, the ammo that I would be running with this is just simple Hornady Sabot slugs. There we go. Yes, I don't know how well you can see that. The lighting in here, I need to work on that. But just simple Sabot slugs. A downfall of break action firearms is just simply the fact that you have one shot. But the way I kind of look at it with with hunting is realistically you only need one shot. So definitely works with the whole taking your time, shot placement, everything else. That way, you know, you're not wounding a deer, you know, whatever, because it does take a couple seconds to put a new shell in. So I've got 5 shells on the stock here, and then on the sling I do have an additional, there's a cat trying to break into this room. I do have an extra 5 shells in the stock, or on the sling. So, and that's something I always do, like no matter what firearm I am taking with me, I always try to make sure that I have extra ammo. I mean, do I think I would need 10 shells for deer hunting? Probably not. I mean, if I do, then something has really gone wrong, but kind of being prepared for, you know, if I get stuck out in the woods for X amount of time or whatever, I do like having that little extra security when it comes to having extra ammo on hand. And plus, you never know when the Mongolian invasion is going to happen. So, yes, this is option number 1. Break action, 20 gauge, rifle barrel. You know, I've shot this a few times. Not a bad shotgun, not a bad firearm. So, let's talk about option number 2. Okay, so option number 2 is going to be this guy right here. This is the Pardner model SB1. This is a break action 12 gauge. All it really has on here is front bead sight, which is kind of annoying, not gonna lie, but not the end of the world. And then probably still can't really see it, but it is a smooth bore shotgun, so there's no rifling in this. But yes, the biggest thing I don't like about this one is the fact that I do not have the mounts to attach a sling, so that is kind of annoying. But I do keep 5 shells. These are just simple Federal 12 gauge slugs. Probably still can't see that, but yes, if I was to take this for any amount of hunting this year, I do want to try to find some kind of sling that would work with this. That way, you know, I can obviously have a sling, but can add a couple extra shells with the shotgun itself. Now, this one is, you know, significantly longer by a couple inches, as you can see, than the 20 gauge, but out of all 3 that I'm going to be talking about, this is probably the lightest one of all 3 of them. And I have taken this one out in the woods a few different times. I've just never gotten the opportunity to take something with this particular shotgun. Now, I forgot to mention with the 20 gauge, I have killed deer with a 20 gauge, and I have killed deer with a 12 gauge, so I am definitely familiar with the 20 and the 12 gauge slugs. But this particular firearm, I have not had the opportunity to kill anything with it yet. So, yes, very simple. Again, not fancy, not super cool, super tactical or whatever. And if you are wondering about the wrap on here, typically I will just take like the vet wrap or whatever and wrap around the wood stock. I need to do it with the 20 gauge here, just kind of help keep the wood stock a little better. I mean, I could just easily take this off, whatever helps keep it from getting damaged, and does add a little extra grip because, you know, let's face it, your hands are cold, wet, whatever. It gets a little slippery. So the wrap on this is just extra grip and keeping the wood furniture on it safe and not damaged. So yes, this is option 2, break action 12 gauge. You know, again, very lightweight shotgun. Like, this one is very, very lightweight out of all the ones that I have. Yeah, let's talk about the final option. So okay, so now the final option is this guy right here. This is the Henry Break Action 223 5.56. Now, I have talked about this rifle before, but last year I was like, you know what, I really want to get something with this rifle. So this is what I ran like 99% of deer season. And of course, the one time that I did not bring this, I had the lever action 35 rem, and I ended up getting a deer. So this realistically is probably going to be what I take, but I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to kind of give your thoughts and opinions on what I should take. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about how 223 is just not enough for a deer and need to run a 30-06 or whatever. The way I look at it is the 223 is more than capable of taking a deer as long as you are using appropriate ammo and shot placement. I mean, you can have a 30-06 and gut shot a deer and you're spending all day tracking. I mean, you can, that shot placement matters with everything. I mean, if I shoot a deer with this in the gut or whatever, I'm gonna have a miserable time, no different than a 30-06, 243, whatever. So, in my opinion, as long as you are utilizing proper ammo and proper shot placement, a 223 is more than enough to take a white-tailed deer. Plus, I'm not hunting bear, I'm not hunting elk, I'm hunting a white-tailed deer. Like, I don't need a cannon to take a deer. Like, so this is realistically the lowest I would go caliber-wise, but it is still more than enough to take a deer. Now, I do have this one set up with just a very basic scope, set up for about 50 yards, which is typically what I am hunting. Like, I don't hunt open fields. I think the most I've had is a 75-yard shot, but typically I'm looking at 50, 60 yards. So I have the scope set up for about 50 yards, give or take. Ammo, right now I need to get different ammo because right now this is set up with .556 green tip, which would definitely not be appropriate for deer hunting. I gotta find some hollow point or soft point for this with a relatively high grain size. Like last year when I ran this, I was using a 75 grain hollow points, which I feel is very appropriate for taking deer, but I currently do not have any of that, so I definitely need to get a couple boxes of that before I decide to take this out hunting. Now, on the sling, I do carry extra ammo. I've got 7 rounds on the stock, and then an extra, if I can get it out of there, I have an extra 7 rounds, and I think, yeah, these are just regular like Full Metal Jacket, but I do keep an extra 7 rounds in there just because, you know, when that Mongolian invasion happens, I want to make sure I'm at least relatively prepared. So even though this is probably going to be what I run, I do want to get your guys' thoughts and opinions on this as to what you think I should run for gun season. The 223 with appropriate ammo, the 12 gauge, or the 20 gauge. Now, there's going to be 2 more options thrown in there, hopefully before gun season starts, but we will discuss that when the time comes. So, in the comment section, let me know as to which one of these 3 firearms you would personally prefer to go deer hunting with. But other than that, I have a few more videos in mind for gun season that I feel are going to be pretty cool. But yes, that is all I have for this video, so I will see you eventually.